The alarm screamed through the command center, and Thelmos felt his blood turn cold. His long fingers shook as they moved across the holographic display, trying to understand what he was seeing. Red markers covered the screen. 40 ships. 40 hostile ships dropping out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Velar system. "This cannot be happening," Thelmos whispered. His luminescent skin, normally a soft blue, had turned pale gray with fear. Around him, other Solarians stood frozen, staring at their displays with wide eyes. None of them had ever seen anything like this. Velar Prime had been at peace for 300 years. The entire Solarian species had been at peace for much longer than that. They had no military, no weapons, no defense fleet. Why would they? The Galactic Council protected its members. Pirates and raiders knew better than to attack Council worlds, except these raiders apparently did not know, or did not care. The communication channel crackled to life. A harsh, growling voice filled the command center. "Solarian weaklings, we are the Korthax. Your orbital stations now belong to us. Your cargo ships belong to us. Surrender everything of value, or we will take it by force and burn your pretty little world." Thelmos stared at the screen in horror. The raider ships were already moving toward the orbital stations. 3 civilian platforms hung in space above Velar Prime, home to nearly 10,000 Solarian workers. They had no shields, no weapons, no way to defend themselves. "What do we do?" one of his assistants asked, her voice breaking. "What can we do?" Thelmos forced himself to think. His training had never covered this. Solarians were scientists, philosophers, artists. They were not warriors. But he was the senior coordinator on duty. Everyone was looking to him. "Send a distress call," he said, his voice steadier than he felt. "Send it to the Galactic Council. Send it to everyone. Someone will help us." His assistant worked quickly, but her face fell as she read the results. "The nearest Council military force is 6 days away. The raiders will have taken everything by then." 6 days. Thelmos felt despair wash over him. In 6 days, the Korthax could do anything they wanted. Kill anyone they wanted. The peaceful people of Velar Prime had no defense against violence. They did not even understand it. "There must be someone closer," Thelmos said desperately. He pulled up the galactic database himself, searching frantically. His fingers flew across the controls, sorting by distance, by military capability, by response time, and there it was. A single entry. A system called Sol. Distance, only 2 days at maximum faster-than-light speed. Military classification, unknown. Status, unverified. Thelmos did not stop to wonder why the classification was unknown. He did not pause to question why a military power would have unverified status. He was too scared to think clearly. He just saw a name, a location, and a possibility. "Send the distress call there," he ordered, pointing at the entry. "Send it to Sol 3, send everything. Our coordinates, the visual data, everything. Beg them to help us." The message went out into space, traveling faster than light toward a system the Solarians had never contacted before. Thelmos collapsed into his seat, his legs too weak to hold him anymore. All he could do now was wait and hope. On the screens, the Korthax raiders reached the first orbital station. Commander Jake Morris was drinking coffee when the alarm sounded. He nearly spilled it down his uniform as he jumped to his feet. Around him, the Lunar Base Command Center erupted into activity. "What have we got?" Jake asked, setting his cup down and moving to the main display. "Deep Space Network just picked up something strange, sir," the communications officer reported. She looked confused. "It is a distress signal, but not from any of our ships. The language is not human. The message is asking for help." Jake felt his heart rate increase. He had been stationed on the lunar base for 3 years, watching Earth's borders, tracking asteroids, monitoring space traffic. Nothing exciting ever happened. Until now. "Put it on screen," he ordered. The display flickered and an alien face appeared. Jake had never seen anything like it. The creature was tall and thin, with smooth skin that glowed softly blue. Its eyes were huge, dark, and filled with terror. "Please," the alien was saying through the translation software. "If anyone can hear this, we need help. We are Solarians of Velar Prime. Raiders have attacked our system. We have no defenses. They will kill us. Please, if you can hear this, please help us." The message included coordinates and tactical data. Jake watched as his systems processed the information. 40 raider ships. 3 civilian stations under attack. A peaceful species with no military capability. "Get me Admiral Crane," Jake said quietly. "Right now." It took less than 3 minutes for the Admiral to appear on his screen. Lisa Crane looked like she had been woken from sleep, but her eyes were sharp and focused. "Talk to me, Commander," she said. Jake played the message for her. As she watched, her expression changed from curiosity to concern to something harder. "Something determined? They sent this to us?" she asked. "Directly to Earth?" "Yes, ma'am." The signal was addressed to Sol 3, that is us. Admiral Crane was quiet for a moment, thinking. Jake knew what she was considering. Humanity had been preparing for this day for decades, the day when they would make contact with alien life. But everyone had assumed humans would be the ones reaching out. "Not the other way around? What is their situation?" the Admiral asked. "Critical, ma'am. Based on their data, they have maybe 48 hours before the raiders take everything. They have 0 defensive capability. They are completely helpless. And we are the closest military power? According to the Galactic database they sent us, yes, ma'am. The nearest alternative is 6 days away." Admiral Crane nodded slowly. "All right. Wake everyone up. I want the fleet ready to jump in 6 hours. Pull every ship we can spare from patrol. I want at least 12 warships, fully armed and ready for combat." "Yes, ma'am," Jake said, feeling excitement and nervousness mix in his chest. "What should I tell them about the mission?" "Tell them we are going to save some people who asked for our help," Admiral Crane said simply. "And tell them that humanity is about to introduce itself to the galaxy. Let us make a good first impression." The next 6 hours passed in a blur of activity. Jake watched from the lunar base as Earth's military mobilized faster than he had ever seen. Ships that had been on patrol jumped back to Earth orbit. Crews that had been on leave were recalled. Weapon systems were armed and tested. Marines prepared for possible boarding actions. The flagship was the Valkyrie, a massive warship that represented the peak of human engineering. She was joined by 11 other ships, destroyers, frigates, and cruisers, each one bristling with railguns, missile tubes, and energy weapons. Dr. Ben Carter arrived at the lunar base just before the fleet jumped. He was a tall man with kind eyes and graying hair, one of Earth's leading experts on theoretical xenobiology. Now he would get to put his theories to the test. "Are you ready for this, Doctor?" Jake asked as they watched the fleet preparations on screen. "I have been preparing for this my entire career," Ben replied. "But am I ready?" "Ask me again after we meet them." Jake laughed nervously. "Do you think they will be friendly?" "They asked for our help," Ben pointed out. "That is a good sign. But we need to be careful. We do not know anything about them yet. Their culture, their biology, their history. We could easily offend them or scare them without meaning to. We are showing up with 12 warships," Jake said. "That might scare them already." "Maybe," Ben admitted. "But they are being attacked. They will be grateful for the help." I hope. On the main screen, Admiral Crane's face appeared. She addressed the entire fleet, her voice calm and confident. "All ships, this is Admiral Crane. In a few minutes, we will jump to the Velar system to respond to a distress call from an alien species. This will be humanity's first contact with intelligent alien life. I want everyone to remember that we are going there to help, not to conquer. We will defend the Solarians, neutralize the raider threat, and show the galaxy that humans can be trusted. Make Earth proud. Crane out." The fleet jumped, tearing a hole in space and disappearing toward the Velar system. Jake sat back in his chair, imagining what was about to happen. Somewhere out there, aliens were waiting for help. They had sent their message into the void, hoping someone would answer. They had no idea what was coming. They had no idea that their distress call had reached a species from a world of storms and earthquakes and predators. A species that had fought its way up from the caves and jungles to master space itself. A species that knew violence intimately but chose to use that knowledge to protect others. The Solarians had called for help. Humanity had answered. And the galaxy would never be the same. Jake picked up his coffee and took a sip. It had gone cold, but he barely noticed. His mind was light years away, wondering what the next few days would bring. First contact, battle, the beginning of something new. Good luck, he whispered to the empty command center, speaking to the crews now racing through space. Show them what we can do. On Velar Prime, Thelmos sat in the command center, watching the raiders systematically loot the orbital stations. 2 days had passed since he sent the distress signal. He had received no response. No one was coming, his people were alone. He did not know that help was already almost there, traveling faster than light, armed and ready. The space at the edge of the Velar system rippled like water, and then 12 ships appeared from nowhere. They materialized in perfect formation, their hulls dark and sleek, covered in armor plating that caught the distant starlight. To anyone watching, they looked dangerous. They looked ready for war. On the bridge of the Valkyrie, Admiral Lisa Crane studied the tactical display with practiced eyes. The raider ships showed up as red markers scattered throughout the system. 3 were docked at the orbital stations. The rest were patrolling or gathering stolen cargo. Get me a full scan of the system, Lisa ordered. I want to know exactly what we are dealing with. Scanning now, Admiral, Lieutenant Amy Zhang replied from the tactical station. Her fingers danced across her controls, pulling in data from sensors. 40 raider vessels confirmed. Most appear to be modified cargo haulers with weapons bolted on. Nothing too sophisticated. They are using old fusion drives and basic energy shields. Lisa nodded. That was good news. The raiders were using outdated technology, but 40 ships was still 40 ships. Numbers mattered in space combat. What about the civilian stations? She asked. 3 orbital platforms, all occupied by raiders. Sensors detect Solarian life signs on all 3 hostages. Amy paused, reading more data. Admiral, the Solarian homeworld is directly below the stations. If shooting starts, we need to be very careful about trajectories. Any missed shots could hit the planet. Noted, Lisa said grimly. That complicated things. They could not just blast the raiders out of space without risking civilian casualties. This would require precision. Send Captain Hayes forward with the Swift, Lisa ordered. Have him do a close reconnaissance run. I want to see how the raiders react to us. Captain Ryan Hayes received his orders with a grin. The Swift was a reconnaissance frigate, fast and maneuverable. Perfect for poking the enemy and seeing what they did. He brought his ship forward, accelerating toward the orbital stations. Sir, we are being scanned, his sensor officer reported. Multiple raider ships have locked onto us. They are hailing us? Put it through, Ryan said, curious. The face that appeared on screen was reptilian, with scaled skin and yellow eyes. The creature wore armor decorated with trophies, and its teeth were filed to points. This was Vexcor, leader of the Korthax Raiders. What is this? Vexcor growled. Unknown ships, you are interfering with Korthax business? Leave now or be destroyed. Ryan glanced at his crew, then back at the screen. This is Captain Ryan Hayes of the United Earth Space Command. We received a distress signal from the Solarians. We are here to provide assistance. Vexcor laughed, a harsh barking sound. Earth? Never heard of it. You should have stayed away, little humans. This system belongs to the Korthax now. We have 40 ships. You have 12. Leave while you still can. Negative, Ryan said calmly. Release your hostages and leave the system. This is your only warning. The raider leader's eyes widened in disbelief, then narrowed in anger. You dare threaten us? You will regret this. He cut the transmission. Ryan sat back in his chair. Well, that went about as expected. All ships prepare for combat. They are not going to leave peacefully. On the planet below, Thelmos was watching his sensors when they registered the new arrivals. 12 ships. His heart leaped with hope. Someone had answered. Someone had come. Open a channel to the new ships, he ordered quickly. Let me speak to them. The communication channel opened, and Thelmos found himself staring at another alien face. But this one was different from Vexcor. This creature had smooth skin, forward-facing eyes, and a calm expression. It wore a uniform decorated with symbols Thelmos did not recognize. This is Admiral Lisa Crane of Earth, the human said. Her voice was steady and confident. We received your distress call. We are here to help. Thelmos felt tears forming in his large eyes. Thank you. Thank you so much. We thought no one would come. The raiders, they have taken our stations. They have our people as hostages. We have no way to fight them. We understand, Lisa said gently. Stay calm. We will handle this. Keep your people safe on the planet. We will take care of the raiders. The transmission ended, and Thelmos slumped in his chair with relief. Help had arrived. These humans, whoever they were, would save them. He did not know how, but he believed it. He had to believe it. Back on the Valkyrie, Lisa was coordinating with her fleet. All ships move into combat formation. Hayes, keep the Swift back for now. I want you running electronic warfare. Jam their communications. Make it hard for them to coordinate. Already on it, Admiral, Ryan replied. His ship was broadcasting interference across multiple frequencies, scrambling raider communication channels. The Korthax raiders were not taking the threat seriously yet. Vexcor sent 20 of his ships forward in a loose formation, intending to intimidate the humans into retreating. His species had fought council races before. They always backed down when faced with real violence. These humans would be no different. He was very wrong. Lieutenant Amy Zhang tracked the approaching raiders on her tactical display. 20 hostiles incoming. They are not using any tactical formation. Just charging straight at us. Amateurs, Lisa muttered. She had fought pirates before, back when Earth was still dealing with rebels in the outer colonies. These raiders were making basic mistakes. All ships, pick your targets. Fire on my command. Aim to disable, not destroy. We want prisoners for questioning. The raider ships came closer, their weapons charging. They planned to fire first, overwhelm the humans with numbers and firepower. They never got the chance. Fire, Lisa ordered. The human fleet opened fire simultaneously. Railgun rounds, accelerated to incredible speeds, crossed the distance in seconds. The kinetic projectiles hit raider shields like hammers, overloading them instantly and punching through the hull plating beyond. Missiles followed, guided by advanced AI, systems that adjusted their flight paths in real time to avoid point defense systems. The raider formation disintegrated. 5 ships exploded immediately, their reactors breached by railgun fire. 8 more tumbled through space, engines destroyed, leaking atmosphere. The remaining 7 tried to scatter, but the human targeting systems tracked them effortlessly. Lieutenant Kate Morrison, the weapons officer on the destroyer Titan, fired again. Her railgun rounds caught a fleeing raider ship in the engines. The ship went dark, drifting powerless through space. Target neutralized, Kate reported calmly. The entire engagement lasted less than 3 minutes. 20 raider ships had attacked. Only 2 escaped back to the main fleet. The rest were destroyed or disabled. On the planet below, the Solarians watched their sensors in shocked silence. They had expected a battle. They had expected hours of fighting, ships maneuvering, back and forth exchanges of fire. Instead, they had witnessed complete and total domination. The humans had destroyed the raiders with casual ease. What are they? Thelmos whispered, staring at the tactical display. What kind of species fights like that? Vexcor was asking himself the same question. He stared at his screens in disbelief. Half his attack force was gone. Just gone in 3 minutes. These humans had weapons that cut through his shields like they were not even there. They moved their ships with impossible precision. They fought like they had done this 1,000 times before, For the first time in his long career as a raider, Vexcor felt fear. "All ships, fall back," he ordered. "Get between the planet and these humans. Use the orbital stations as cover. They will not risk hitting their precious hostages." It was a coward's tactic, but Vexcor was a survivor. His remaining ships retreated to the orbital stations, clustering around the civilian platforms. The hostages were his shield now. Admiral Crane watched the raiders retreat and felt her jaw tighten. The cowards were hiding behind civilians. That changed the situation. She could not just bombard them now. She needed a different approach. "Get me Sergeant Chris Palmer," she ordered. A moment later, a face appeared on her screen. Chris Palmer was a big man with a square jaw and calm eyes. He commanded the Valkyrie's Marine Detachment, 200 soldiers trained for boarding actions and close combat. "You called, Admiral?" Chris asked. "We have hostages on those orbital stations," Lisa explained. "The raiders are using them as shields. I need your Marines to board those stations and secure the hostages." "Can you do it?" Chris smiled grimly. "Give me 2 hours. We will get them out." "You have 90 minutes, Lisa said. "After that, I am clearing those stations whether the hostages are safe or not. We cannot let these raiders drag this out." "Understood, Admiral. We will be ready." The Marine Detachment prepared for deployment. Soldiers checked their armor, tested their weapons, and reviewed the station layouts that the Solarians had provided. They would launch in small assault pods, breach the station hulls, and fight their way through to secure the hostages. It was dangerous work. But it was what they trained for. On the Swift, Ryan Hayes was monitoring raider communications. Despite the jamming, his sensors could pick up some of their transmissions. What he heard made him smile. "Admiral, you need to hear this," he said. Patching the audio through to the Valkyrie, Vexcor's voice came through, talking to his remaining ships. Do not know what they are. Their weapons are too strong. Their ships are too fast. We cannot win this fight. We need to negotiate. Maybe they will let us." The assault pods crossed the empty space in seconds, moving so fast they were barely visible. Inside his pod, Sergeant Chris Palmer felt the familiar pressure of high-G acceleration. His armor compensated automatically, keeping him conscious and alert. Around him, his Marines sat strapped in tight, weapons ready, faces hidden behind helmets. 30 seconds to impact, the pod's computer announced in a calm voice. Chris checked his rifle's ammunition counter one more time. Full magazine. 40 rounds of armor-piercing ammunition, plus 3 backup magazines on his belt. More than enough for a station-clearing operation. "Remember the plan?" he said over the squad channel. "Alpha Team takes the left corridor. Bravo Team goes right. Charlie Team secures the hostages in the central hub, fast and clean. Watch your corners. These raiders know we are coming." The raider ship's point defense systems opened fire, trying to shoot down the incoming pods. Laser beams and ballistic rounds filled the space around the assault force. But the pods were small, fast, and covered in ablative armor. Most of the defensive fire missed. The few hits that connected glanced off harmlessly. 10 seconds, the computer said. Chris braced himself. This was always the worst part, the impact. The breach. The moment when you transition from the safety of your pod to the chaos of combat. "Here we go," he muttered. The pod hit the station's hull with tremendous force. Shaped charges detonated instantly, blowing a hole through the metal plating. The pod's front section tore open, and Chris was moving before the smoke cleared. His boots hit the station floor, rifle up, scanning for targets. He found them immediately. 3 Korthax raiders stood in the corridor, raising their weapons in surprise. They had expected the boarding attempt, but they had not expected it to be this fast. Chris fired 3 times. Each shot was precise, hitting center mass. The raiders went down before they could fire back. "Alpha Team clear," he reported, moving forward. Behind him, 5 more Marines poured out of the pod and spread out, covering the corridor with practiced efficiency. They moved like a machine, each soldier knowing exactly where to go, exactly what to do. Years of training took over. Down the corridor, more raiders appeared. These ones were ready, firing energy weapons that scorched the walls and ceiling. The Marines took cover and returned fire. The difference in combat effectiveness was immediate and obvious. The raiders fired wildly, spraying energy bolts everywhere, hoping to hit something. The Marines fired carefully, picking their targets, conserving ammunition. Every shot counted. Every shot hit. Private Eric Stone leaned out from behind a doorway and shot a raider in the leg. The creature fell, screaming. Eric shot him again, this time in the chest. The raider stopped screaming. Eric moved forward without pausing, stepping over the body, already scanning for the next threat. This was what humans had evolved for. Not farming or building or art. Those came later. First came the hunt. First came the ability to track prey, to kill efficiently, to work together as a pack. Millions of years of evolution had created the perfect persistence predator. And now, that predator was hunting in the corridors of an alien space station. The raiders never had a chance. "Charlie team, we have reached the hostages," a voice reported over the radio. It was Corporal Mike Davis, leading the team assigned to secure the civilians. "We have approximately 300 Solarians here. They are scared but unharmed. Beginning evacuation procedures." "Copy that," Chris replied. He was moving deeper into the station, clearing rooms one by one. Alpha Team had encountered minimal resistance so far. The raiders were falling back, retreating toward the station's command center. "All teams, press forward. Do not let them regroup." The Solarian hostages huddled in the central hub, surrounded by human Marines. To the hostages, the humans looked terrifying. They wore full combat armor that made them look even bigger and more intimidating. Their faces were hidden behind reflective visors. They moved with predatory grace, weapons always ready, and they had just killed a dozen raiders in less than 2 minutes without losing a single soldier. "Please do not be afraid, Corporal Mike," Davis said, his voice gentler now that the immediate fighting was over. He removed his helmet, showing his face, human, young, concerned. "We are here to help you. We are going to get you out of here safely." The Solarians stared at him with huge eyes. One of them, braver than the rest, stepped forward. "You are the ones who answered our distress call," she said softly. "You are from Earth." "That is right," Mike confirmed. "My name is Mike. We are going to evacuate you to your planet. But we need you to stay calm and follow our instructions. Can you do that?" The Solarian nodded slowly. "Yes, we can do that. Thank you for saving us." Mike smiled, trying to look friendly and non-threatening. It was hard when he was covered in armor and holding a rifle, but he tried. "You are welcome. Now let us get you home." The evacuation began. Marines escorted groups of Solarians to the emergency airlocks where small shuttles were waiting. The process was slow but steady. While Charlie Team handled the evacuation, Alpha and Bravo teams continued clearing the station. Chris reached the command center and found it barricaded. The raiders had piled up furniture and equipment behind the door, preparing for a last stand. Chris considered his options. He could use explosives to blast through. He could cut through with plasma torches. Or he could try talking. "Raiders inside," he called out in a loud voice. "This is your last chance to surrender. Throw out your weapons and come out with your hands visible. You will not be harmed. Silence." Then a harsh laugh from inside. "We will die before we surrender to you, human." Chris sighed. He had tried. "All right then, Bravo Team, set charges. Blow the door." 2 Marines moved forward and attached explosive charges to the barricaded door. They retreated to safe distance, and Chris counted down. 3, 2, 1, breach. The explosives detonated with a thunderous boom. The door blew inward, and smoke filled the corridor. Chris and his team rushed through, weapons ready. The raiders inside opened fire immediately. Energy bolts filled the command center. One hit Chris in the chest plate, burning through the outer layer but stopping at the inner armor. He barely felt it. He returned fire, and a raider dropped. The fight was brief and brutal. The raiders were brave. Chris had to give them that. They fought hard, refusing to give up. But bravery was not enough against superior training and equipment. In less than a minute, the command center was secure. 5 raiders lay dead. 3 more had surrendered. throwing down their weapons when they realized the fight was hopeless. Station 1 secure, Chris reported. All hostages evacuated. Prisoners secured, moving to Station 2. Admiral Lisa Crane listened to the reports with satisfaction. The marine assault was proceeding perfectly. Station 1 was clear. Teams were already breaching Stations 2 and 3. The raiders were collapsing under the pressure. On her tactical display, she watched the raider fleet's remaining ships. They were trying to escape now, breaking away from the orbital stations and burning toward the edge of the system. But the human fleet had them surrounded. Every escape route was covered. "Target their engines," Lisa ordered. "Disable them, but do not destroy. We want prisoners. We need to find out who sent them and why they thought attacking a council world was a good idea." The human ships maneuvered into position and opened fire with surgical precision. One by one, the fleeing raiders lost power and went dark, floating helplessly in space. A few tried to fight back, but their weapons could not penetrate human shields. It was like children throwing rocks at tanks. Vexcor sat in his command ship, watching his fleet die around him. He had been a raider for 20 years. He had attacked dozens of worlds, stolen countless treasures, and never lost a battle. The council races were soft. They negotiated. They hesitated. They could be intimidated, but these humans were different. They did not negotiate. They did not hesitate. They had come to the Velar system, assessed the situation, and proceeded to systematically destroy his entire fleet with ruthless efficiency. It had taken them less than 2 hours. "This is impossible," Vexcor whispered, staring at his screens. "They are just one species, one world. How can they be this strong?" His second-in-command looked at him with fear in his eyes. "Commander, we should surrender. We cannot win this." Vexcor wanted to argue, wanted to fight, but he was not stupid. He was beaten, and he knew it. "Send a surrender signal," he ordered quietly. "Tell them we yield." The transmission went out. A moment later, Admiral Crane's face appeared on his screen. She looked at him with cold, hard eyes. Eyes that had seen death before. Eyes that would see it again. "Vexcor," she said, reading his name from her database, "your fleet is defeated. Your soldiers are dead or captured. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. If you resist, you will be destroyed. This is your only warning." Vexcor looked at her face and saw no mercy there. "Only justice, cold and final," he nodded slowly. "We surrender." The battle was over. On the planet below, the Solarians watched in stunned silence as the last raider ship went dark. The humans had won. Not just won, but dominated. The 40-ship raider fleet had been reduced to wreckage and prisoners in less than 3 hours. And the humans had not lost a single ship. Not one. Thelmos sat in his command center, trying to process what he had witnessed. These humans, these unknown creatures from an... The shuttle descended through Velar Prime's atmosphere, carrying Admiral Lisa Crane and her diplomatic team to the planet's surface. Dr. Ben Carter sat beside her, looking out the window at the world below. It was beautiful. Soft blue skies, gentle clouds, vast forests of purple vegetation. Everything about it seemed peaceful and calm. "Their gravity is only 0.6 of Earth's," Ben said, reviewing his notes. "We need to be very careful when we move. We will be much stronger here than we are used to. A simple handshake could injure one of them." Lisa nodded. She had read the briefings. The Solarians were a delicate species, evolved on a world with no predators and abundant resources. They had never faced the harsh evolutionary pressures that shaped humanity, that made them fragile by human standards. "What else should I know?" Lisa asked. Ben pulled up more information on his tablet. "They are herbivores. Their entire diet is plant-based. They have no concept of hunting or meat-eating. Their culture values harmony and cooperation above all else. They have no military tradition, no warrior class, no history of warfare. They settled their disputes through discussion and negotiation for thousands of years before they even developed spaceflight." "So they are peaceful," Lisa said. "Extremely peaceful," Ben confirmed. "Which makes what happened to them even more traumatic. Violence is completely alien to them. They literally do not understand it. When the raiders attacked, they had no frame of reference for how to respond. The shuttle touched down at a landing pad near the Solarian capital. As the doors opened, Lisa and her team stepped out into the gentle gravity. The effect was immediate. Lisa felt light, like she could jump 10 feet in the air with minimal effort. Every movement felt effortless. A group of Solarians waited to greet them. Lisa recognized Thelmos from the video communications. He stood at the front of the group, tall and thin, his blue skin glowing softly in the sunlight. When he saw the humans, his large eyes went even wider. "Admiral Crane," Thelmos said, bowing his head respectfully. "Welcome to Velar Prime. We are honored by your presence." Lisa moved forward carefully, aware of her strength advantage. She extended her hand slowly. "The honor is ours. We are glad we could help." Thelmos looked at her hand uncertainly. Dr. Ben Carter stepped forward. "It is a human greeting," he explained gently. "A gesture of friendship. You clasp hands like this." He demonstrated carefully, taking Thelmus's hand in his own and shaking it softly. Thelmus's skin was cool and smooth. His grip was gentle, almost non-existent. Ben could feel how fragile the Solarian was. One wrong move, too much pressure, and he could break bones. The Solarian delegation led the humans through the capital. It was unlike any city Lisa had ever seen. Buildings made of crystal and living wood. Parks and gardens everywhere. No walls or fortifications. No security checkpoints. It was a city that had never needed to defend itself. Children played in the streets, stopping to stare at the strange visitors. The human soldiers in their escort, even without armor, looked massive and intimidating compared to the delicate Solarians. They arrived at the government building, a graceful structure that seemed to grow out of the ground rather than being built on it. Inside, the Solarian Council waited. 20 members, all elderly, all watching the humans with a mixture of gratitude and uncertainty. "Please sit," the council leader said. Gesturing to chairs that had been specially reinforced for human weight, Lisa sat carefully and her team followed suit. The chairs creaked but held. She looked around the council chamber. It was beautiful, decorated with art and natural elements. Nothing about it suggested a government that dealt with military matters. "First," the council leader said, "we must express our deepest gratitude. You saved our people. You saved our world. We owe you a debt we can never repay." "You owe us nothing," Lisa said firmly. "You sent a distress call. We answered. That is what civilized species do. We help each other." The council members exchanged glances. "You speak of civilization," one of them said slowly. "But what you did, the way you fought, it was so efficient. So deadly. We have never seen anything like it. The raiders barely resisted you." "The raiders were using outdated technology and poor tactics," Lisa explained. "They were criminals, not soldiers. Our military is trained to handle threats like them." "But where did you get such training?" Thelmos asked. The question had been bothering him since the battle. "We researched your world after the battle. Sol 3, Earth, it is not in any of our databases. You are not a member of the Galactic Council. How did you develop such advanced weapons and military tactics without any guidance from the council races?" This was the moment Lisa had been preparing for. The moment when humanity's true nature would be revealed. She looked at Dr. Ben Carter, and he nodded. "Time to tell them the truth." "We developed our capabilities out of necessity," Lisa said carefully. "Our world is very different from yours. Perhaps Dr. Carter can explain." Ben stood and activated a holographic display. An image of Earth appeared, slowly rotating in the air. To the Solarians it looked beautiful. Blue oceans, green and brown continents, white clouds. "This is Earth," Ben began. "Our homeworld. At first glance it may look peaceful, but appearances can be deceiving." He pulled up data charts. "Earth has 1.0 gravity, almost twice what you experience here. Our atmosphere is dense and often violent. We have storms that can destroy entire cities, earthquakes that reshape continents, Volcanoes that can change global climate. The Solarians leaned forward, fascinated and horrified. This was outside their experience. Velar Prime was geologically stable. Its weather was mild and predictable. Our planet has also experienced multiple mass extinction events, Ben continued. Asteroid impacts, climate shifts, events that killed most life on the planet. Humanity evolved in the aftermath of these disasters. We come from a world that constantly tried to kill us. He changed the display to show Earth's ecosystem. Predators chasing prey. Lions hunting zebras. Sharks circling smaller fish. Wolves working as a pack to bring down larger animals. Earth has thousands of predator species, Ben explained. Including us. Humans are apex predators. We evolved to hunt. Our forward-facing eyes give us depth perception for tracking prey. Our endurance lets us chase animals until they collapse from exhaustion. Our intelligence lets us create tools and weapons. We survived by becoming the most efficient killers on our planet. The council chamber was completely silent. The Solarians stared at the images with expressions of shock and disbelief. "You are from a death world," the council leader whispered. The term existed in galactic databases, but it was theoretical. No one had ever met someone from a death world. The assumption was that such harsh conditions would prevent intelligent life from evolving at all. "That is what you call it, yes?" Ben confirmed. "By galactic standards, Earth is classified as a Class 12 death world, one of the most hostile planets known to support life. Everything about our evolution was shaped by survival pressure. We learned to fight because we had no choice. We learned to work together because alone we would die. We developed technology because our bodies were not strong enough on their own." He showed more images. Ancient humans hunting mammoths. Medieval armies fighting with swords. Modern soldiers in combat. The evolutionary progression of human warfare. "We have been fighting for survival since before we were even human," Ben said. "It is part of our nature. But so is cooperation. So is compassion. We fight to protect what we love. We kill to defend the innocent. That is why we came when you called for help. Not because we enjoy violence, but because we understand that sometimes violence is necessary to prevent greater harm." Thelmos spoke up, his voice shaking slightly. "The raiders called you natural killers. They were terrified of you. Now I understand why. You are warriors. Born warriors. Your entire species is adapted for combat." "Not just for combat," Lisa interjected. "Yes, we can fight. But we can also build, create, explore, love, care for each other. The same instincts that make us dangerous to our enemies make us fiercely protective of our friends. We are complicated like any species. But we promise you this, we came to your world as friends, not conquerors." One of the council members, an elderly female with silver-tinted skin, spoke softly. "I have a question, if I may. Your world sounds horrifying. Why did you not leave it as soon as you developed spaceflight? Why would anyone stay on such a dangerous planet?" Ben smiled. "Because it is our home? Yes, Earth is dangerous. But it is also beautiful. It made us who we are. We love it despite its dangers. Maybe because of its dangers. It taught us to be strong, to adapt, to never give up." The council leader nodded slowly, beginning to understand. "You are saying that your harsh world gave you gifts, strength, determination, unity, the very things that make you dangerous also make you valuable." "Exactly," Lisa said. "We do not apologize for what we are, but we promise to use our strength wisely. We came to the stars seeking friendship, not conquest. We want to be part of the galactic community. We want to learn from you and teach what we know in return." The council members discussed among themselves in low voices. Finally, the leader spoke again. "We believe you. Your actions have shown your character. You could have demanded payment for your help. You could have claimed our world as a prize. Instead, you only offered assistance." The Galactic Council station hung in space like a jewel, massive and ancient, built by the first council races thousands of years ago. It was neutral territory where representatives from hundreds of worlds gathered to discuss trade, resolve disputes, and make decisions that affected the entire galaxy. Ambassador Jake Sullivan stood at the observation window of his shuttle, watching the station grow larger as they approached. He was a career diplomat, 50 years old, with gray hair and calm eyes that had seen humanity through first contact with 3 alien species. Except those had all been simulations, training exercises. This was real. Nervous? Captain Nicole Grant asked. She commanded his security detail, 6 soldiers in dress uniforms who looked professional and unthreatening as humans could look anyway. Terrified, Jake admitted with a slight smile. We are about to walk into a room full of aliens who have spent the last 3 weeks debating whether humanity is a threat to galactic peace. No pressure. Nicole laughed. Look at it this way. They have not tried to blow up our shuttle yet. That is a good sign. The shuttle docked at one of the station's many bays. As the doors opened, Jake straightened his uniform and stepped out. A delegation of council officials waited to greet them. The leader was a Vex, a species that looked like bipedal birds with colorful feathers and sharp eyes. Ambassador Sullivan, the Vex said in perfect English, translated by devices everyone wore. Welcome to Council Station. I am Coordinator Relax. On behalf of the Council, I welcome humanity to these chambers. Jake bowed respectfully. Thank you, Coordinator. We are honored to be here. They were led through the station's corridors. Jake noticed the stairs. Aliens of every description stopped to watch the humans pass. Some looked curious. Some looked afraid. A few looked openly hostile. News of the Velar incident had spread quickly. Everyone knew that a Deathworld species had arrived in the galaxy and destroyed a raider fleet with terrifying efficiency. The Council chamber was vast, circular, with seats arranged in tiers surrounding a central platform. Representatives from 300 species watched as Jake and his team entered. The room fell silent. Coordinator Relax gestured to the central platform. Ambassador Sullivan, please take the speaker's position. The Council has many questions for humanity. Jake walked to the center, acutely aware that every eye in the room was on him. He could feel the weight of history pressing down. What he said in the next few minutes would determine humanity's place in the galaxy. Members of the Galactic Council, he began, his voice amplified throughout the chamber. I am Ambassador Jake Sullivan, representing the United Earth government and all of humanity. We come before you today to request recognition and membership in the galactic community. A voice spoke from the seats above. It belonged to a Krell, a species that looked like upright lizards with crystalline scales. You speak of community, but you come from a death world. Your people are warriors, killers. Why should we allow such a dangerous species into our council? Jake had expected this question. He had practiced his answer a dozen times. It is true that humans evolved on a harsh world. It is true that we know how to fight. But I would ask the council to judge us by our actions, not our origin. When the Silarians called for help, we answered. We could have ignored their distress signal. We could have conquered them after saving them. Instead, we helped them and asked for nothing in return. Does that sound like the behavior of mindless killers? Another voice, this one from a Meridian, a species that looked like living clouds of gas held together by energy fields. You destroyed 40 raider ships in hours. You killed hundreds of Korthax. How can you claim to be peaceful? We do not claim to be peaceful, Jake replied honestly. We claim to be capable of peace. There is a difference. The Korthax raiders were attacking innocents. They had taken hostages. They refused to negotiate. We did what was necessary to protect the Silarians. Would you have preferred we let the raiders continue? You could have used diplomacy, a third voice called out. The council always seeks diplomatic solutions first. Jake nodded. And we gave them the chance to surrender. They chose to fight instead. We respected their choice. But I would point out that diplomacy only works when both sides are willing to talk. The Korthax were not willing. They were criminals who made a living attacking peaceful worlds. Someone needed to stop them. Coordinator Relax raised a feathered hand for silence. The Council acknowledges that humanity acted to defend the Solarians. That is not in question. What concerns us is your capacity for violence. Your weapons are more advanced than those of most Council races. Your soldiers are trained to a degree we have not seen outside of specialized military species. You come from a world that breeds warriors. How can we be certain you will not turn those weapons on us? Jake took a deep breath. This was the moment he had been preparing for. The moment when everything would be decided. You cannot be certain, he said simply. Just as we cannot be certain that every species in this council is trustworthy. Trust is not given. It is earned. We are willing to earn yours, but you must give us the chance. He paused, looking around the chamber. Yes, we come from a harsh world. Yes, we know violence. But let me tell you what else our world taught us. It taught us cooperation. On Earth, no human survives alone. We need each other. We learn to work together, to trust each other, to sacrifice for the greater good. That is how we survived. It taught us compassion. When we see others suffering, we help them. Not because we gain something from it, but because it is right. The Solarians were strangers to us. We had never met them before. But they needed help, and we came. It taught us responsibility. We know our weapons are dangerous. We know we are strong. That is exactly why we must be careful. Power without responsibility is tyranny. We understand that. We embrace it. Jake's voice grew stronger. You fear what we might do. I understand that fear, but I ask you to consider what we have already done. We saved a world. We defeated criminals who preyed on the weak. We showed mercy to our defeated enemies. We came here not with demands, but with a request to join you as equals. He gestured to the chamber around them. Look at this council. 300 species, all different. Some herbivores, some carnivores. Some from peaceful worlds, some from harsh ones. You have made it work because you chose to see past your differences and focus on what unites you. All we ask is the same chance. The chamber was silent for a long moment. Then Thelmo stood from the Solarian delegation seats. His voice was clear and strong. The Solarians speak in favor of humanity, he said. They saved us when no one else could. They treated us with respect and dignity. They are warriors, yes, but they are honorable warriors. The galaxy needs more species like them, not fewer. Other voices joined in. Some in support, some in opposition. The debate raged for hours. Jake stood in the center, answering questions, defending humanity's character, explaining Earth's history and culture. Finally, Coordinator Relax called for order. The Council will now vote. The question is simple. Do we grant humanity provisional membership, with the opportunity to earn full status over time? Or do we reject their application and recommend quarantine of the Sol system? The vote was called. Jake watched the display as results came in. Green lights for yes. Red lights for no. The numbers climbed slowly. 150 votes for humanity. 140 against. 10 abstentions. Coordinator Relax looked at Jake with what might have been a smile. Hard to tell with a beak. By majority vote, the Council grants humanity provisional membership. Welcome to the galactic community, Ambassador Sullivan. The chamber erupted in a mix of applause and protests. Jake felt relief wash over him like a wave. They had done it. Against the odds, despite the fear and suspicion, humanity had been accepted, but the vote came with conditions. Coordinator Relax explained them clearly. Humanity will be granted provisional membership for a period of 5 Earth years. During this time, you will have limited voting rights and must accept Council observers in your space. You must also agree to help establish a Council defense force. Many worlds lack the ability to defend themselves, as we saw with the Solarians. Your military expertise would be valuable in training others. Jake nodded. We accept these conditions. Earth is honored to contribute to the Council's defense. As the formal session ended, Representatives from various species approached Jake. Some wanted to establish trade relations. Others wanted defense treaties. A few just wanted to meet humans in person, to see what Deathworlders look like up close. Commander Pete Holland, the intelligence officer on Jake's team, leaned close and whispered, "Sir, I am picking up a lot of nervous energy from some of these species. They are scared of us." "Let them be scared for now," Jake replied quietly. "Fear will turn to respect once they see what we can do, and respect will eventually turn to friendship." Over the following weeks, humanity integrated into the council structure. Earth opened embassies on dozens of worlds. Human merchants began trading with alien markets. Human scientists collaborated with alien researchers. And human military advisors began training council defense forces on Velar Prime. The Solarians opened their first military academy. The instructors were a mix of Solarians and humans working together. The curriculum focused on defensive tactics,